guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles for another breakdown of Requiem of the Rose King episode 19. We are 5 episodes from the end. It is all starting to go horrifically wrong. The spiral has begun. Theoretically, things were already in a downward motion when Richard ascends the throne, as we have mentioned before. Not a popular king, not really one who has been remembered fondly by the annals of time, and Shakespeare's works are also a good reminder of how people viewed Richard after Richard was gone, because Shakespeare was writing from nearly about 100 years later. You can see how he ended up being remembered. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed. We're aiming for 1k of noodles in the bowl. We're going to try and aim to do more interactive things, have live streams. We could even have a live stream for this anime in particular, discuss it, because you guys are often the top viewed video of the week. However, last week you were dethroned. You got dethroned like Henry did, overtaken by Spy X Family, who ended up tripling the amount of views. But you guys have pretty much been my most supportive video for nearly 2 seasons. Thank you guys so much, and I can't wait to do more interactive things on the channel. My midway review is now up on the channel as well, so if you want to go and see what my top 3 OPs, EDs and anime of the season is, go check that out. Reminder as well that the video next week is going to be delayed. I am at MCM Comic Con. I am competing on the Saturday in Marrakesh. The 3-year Trouble monster cosplay that has traumatized me. Can't wait to actually just have her on, finally debut her, get some nice pictures and see what happens. But if you want to come and support me, you can watch that on Saturday around 5. Thank you guys so much. If you do come along, it'd be great to see you, but that does mean that this review is going to be delayed by 3 days. So I will try and bring it out on Tuesday for you at the latest. Let's get going because it's all coming down. I will go through the script, tell you what certain things mean, why people are acting in a certain way, why certain people are now starting to appear in the story again. It's not exactly spoilers. I feel really weird when I tell you future things from the story, who succeeds Richard and stuff. It's history. It's been around for over 500 years. I feel like I need to just explain a few things. James Tyrrell, the shepherd couldn't remember their own name. What I thought was very key at this moment was the white boar. Present when Buckingham comes in seeking out James because he wants to hire a hitman. The white boar has been present for quite a few very important sequences. And I'm starting to wonder if the white boar is fate, symbolic of fate, leading people to where they need to be. Richard first found the white boar, saved the white boar. Edward has seen the white boar now, and Edward was pulled out, and that's where Edward hears the rumour, and we come face to face with Lucifer, Henry, and we see Elizabeth. But that white boar is there for someone else, so I'll mention the white boar a little bit later on. James is definitely Henry. I did put could, but there's no doubt about it. It's definitely Henry. I just have no idea how it happened, how Henry has survived. Henry can't remember anything. He was already forgetting things. He couldn't remember who Richard was. He had lost his mind. He couldn't remember who he was. He was calling him demon because he had been poisoned by the mother figure. I do also think the mother figure annoyingly outlives Richard. He's already been a king surrounded by a lot of health issues anyway, so I don't put it past him. Richard's gold eye definitely matches Buckingham's eye colour. I don't know if this is intentional or not, saying that you are my other half, which meant that Richard was always meant to find Buckingham, but it does seem to be a brief respite before the plot goes spiralling out of control. The night doesn't seem to last long enough before the tragedy comes back in full Shakespearean fashion. Buckingham learns all about Henry and Richard. He reminds me of that meme. The meme when you've got your crush's ex, your crush's mum and dad, that meme. Buckingham has just found out that Richard X is a former king. I can imagine that Buckingham's confidence right at that moment just suddenly nosedived, and he's like, oh, I can't match up to that. It's all going horribly wrong, and he gets really jealous because a lot of stuff comes out this week that Richard's kept secret from him. The love triangle, apparently. I did think it was a love triangle, but I also don't think it is a love triangle because Henry confronting maybe remembered Richard. I think he's still trying to appear as a shepherd to save Richard. Because things are changing in this plot, don't quite happen in canon. The same results are happening, but the way they're happening doesn't make sense because Henry is supposed to be dead right now. There's no way Henry should even be alive. So if they want Henry to come along and kill Richard and really change the script up, that would be interesting. Richard technically dies on a battlefield, then is overtaken by Henry VII. You could then say Richard is lost on the battlefield. Don't know the plot, guys. I haven't actually read the manga on this, so if I'm right, I apologise. But if he goes crawling off into the forest and obviously Henry thinks he's won and there's no body ever found, Richard finds the shepherd and die together. I don't know. That could be something I see happening. We are given the information that James was the one who killed George, not Lucifer Henry. I apologise, Lucifer. Did not mean that. I still call him Lucifer. Gonna keep that nickname, I'm sorry. Everyone in this plot's called Henry, so I want to call him Lucifer for now. definitely a different Henry. He's acting in a complete opposite. He is killing mercilessly. He doesn't seem to react when he kills George. Very detached in the way that he's trying to learn to love and he can't reach his emotions. Weird to see him acting like this. It's almost like he is a completely different person. So he did die that night, but he's come back as James says, I feel alive when I'm a shepherd or in the heat of blood, aka I'm killing someone or some things. Buckingham, who was already threatened, is now suddenly feeling probably 10 times as worse because the exes have shown up. But he must realise that Henry can't remember who he is. He really needs to get him out of there quickly before Richard sees. It's a possibility Richard would start yearning for the ex again and start being really messed up. I definitely think it's coming. I don't think it's going to be yet, but at some point Richard is definitely coming face to face with Henry. Question that Henry poses is, I want to join you in that radiance, the idea of love. I don't quite know what he's asking. He's dangerous. He definitely seems very, very unstable because he's got a knife, and a few times I thought Buckingham was about to become a piñata. It would be quite painful if Henry does end Buckingham because that's the ex coming back to off the current partner. Beth's appearance at the party on Elizabeth's suggestion. This is very important. Initially, I didn't actually make the connection. I didn't join the dots up. This is actually more important than I thought it was. So we've literally just had Lucifer telling Edward, you're not Richard's son. Beth's dress matches Richard's. Very unique dress to actually match. It doesn't seem of the period, so to both wearing it felt a little bit too similar. The mother is definitely scheming with Lucifer. They're definitely acting together. Beth is meant to be there and she's being watched by someone very important to her timeline. I'll tell you at the end because it left me going, oh, of course it's this. But Beth is a nice character. She's aware that her mother's scheming. The man standing there is actually the man who switching his allegiances last minute to save his own skin. He's the one who was supposed to rat Richard out as a traitor and then kill him, but ended up vowing to support Richard. So he's actually going to do a double agent thing again, because if his son is suddenly the king and he knows he's going to benefit, he's definitely going to be swapping right back. He only wants to know his son when it becomes beneficial to him. Lucifer's first secret supporter, who's actually on the council for Rich. Poor Edward's and his false lineage is starting to sweep the castle. Edward becoming the centre of the rumour, and the rumour mill is very, very dangerous, and especially in this period and in the castle when pretty much everybody is superstitious as it is. Everybody's jumping. Everybody will believe pretty much anything at this point. If Richard wants to get anywhere ahead, they need to stop the rumour mill. Things are starting to slide. Elizabeth meeting Edward that night as well, getting called to the party. That is a sliding moment. She's very important now to the next stage. It's all part of Lucifer's plan. It's actually all going in Lucifer's direction. He's actually currently winning and making a fair bit of ground here. He does also use the trigger word demon. Demon is used again to try and trigger Richard. And that also makes me think that Lucifer could be paired up with Richard's mother. Richard's mother has been a cause of trauma throughout the series. For a nice genuine moment of the episode though, we do have Richard seeing Edward almost as a mirror of themselves. Richard also doesn't look like Daddy Richard. They had a bond stronger than anything. It's trying to get at the idea you don't have to be related by blood to actually have a strong bond. Sometimes some of the most important people to you are not even related to you by blood. The idea of once upon a time hating flowers, but I see them as beautiful. It's the idea of being in love. When you're in love, you're seeing through those rose-tinted glasses. That sky that you might have been complaining about yesterday is now gorgeous, and you're seeing colours in it and everything. It's serotonin, it makes you happy, so you're on a different scale. But before, Richard would have been depressed and would have been traumatised, so he would have been seeing things in a grayscale. For perhaps the first genuine moment between Edward and Richard, I'm loving the fact that Richard is gonna try and vow and stand up for Edward. Richard knew who the dad actually really was. What does Anne now think initially? Because she does look out the window and see them actually having a hugging moment. She's been in a loveless marriage for quite some time. By this point, I'm 100% she's convinced that Richard is a woman. The rumour mill is very, very dangerous, and Richard needs to nip that in the bud very, very quickly because it's going to go awfully wrong. Buckingham rightly states that if you want to nip that in the bud, you need to have another child. Richard's got this body trauma. Anne isn't actually happy with Richard at all, but she would technically do it because we know that's her duty. So I already see that there's lots of negatives going on. Richard's already losing tons and tons of ground, but this is one of those very big landslide moments when Richard announces that Edward isn't their son, and Buckingham is not happy because this is yet another secret that Richard has withheld from him. Edward is a threat. He is the legitimate heir to the throne. He is not only a legitimate heir to the throne and a danger to Richard. He is the enemy. He is the child of the enemy that you took over the throne, make the country yours. You've done everything to vow against that line. Buckingham, hearing Richard say, I am going to protect him, I'm going to protect Edward, very dangerous, because everything you put into making that king who you thought shares those same values, who is against the Lancasters, is suddenly protecting the enemy, suddenly not willing to disinherit the enemy. That's why we're seeing Buckingham really going heavy and going, you have to get him disinherited because he is dangerous. If you disinherit him, he no longer has a claim to the throne because he's not seen as legit. We have our huge fallout, landslide moment. These two falling out, we now have a crack in a partnership who needs to be working together in this very bad moment. A moment when everything's going horrifically wrong. Their emotions are running high. It's the worst moment for things already going wrong. Buckingham ends up falling out with Richard and ends up coming face to face with a stabby Henry. We see Buckingham starting to really struggle with emotions. Even right now, my emotions are getting in the way. I can't see straight. You weren't in love with Richard, you would probably be backing another monarch. As he says, they would make a better monarch than your son. There are other monarchs that you could be backing. Richard getting a very bad taste of heartache and it being in a very bad place and being very upset and broken and now going through trauma again, thinking that I'm going to be abandoned. And this is these abandonment issues that Richard keeps going through. The bad omen that Richard even sees and would definitely see as a bad omen. The broken vase with the white flower on the ground. Everything's starting to lay in pieces. It's a bad omen. Bad things are now on their way. Richard's fighting trauma. Buckingham's not there anymore. The pair should be working together and they're not. Richard makes the decision to allow Beth back without having Buckingham around. Buckingham would 100% oppose this because it's a bad idea. 100% that was one of your bad calls. You should not have gone through with this. Anne is now 100% definitely that Richard is a woman and in love with Buckingham. Perhaps even if you see Richard getting sicker and sicker, she may even think Richard is pregnant. She ends up walking in when Richard calls longingly in distress for Buckingham. I do feel really bad for Anne, who's kind of just been never really loved by any of the husbands. The only person who's really actually loved her is her own son. What was Elizabeth planning, you must be asking yourself? Why was she so keen on getting Beth to the palace? And I will now tell you a bit of information, guys. Right at the party, we see Edward asking for Beth to be brought to the palace. This is what she was planning. This is what she wanted. So that is going her way. Elizabeth, even from jail, is starting to make ground. Among the darkness, among this chaos, an event I have been telling you guys about is finally here. I completely forgot about it because of the chaos going on. And then I was like, oh, we're already here. Completely shocked that we're finally here in the timeline. Lucifer is about to remove the two princes. It's the way he does it as well because he's as the Joker. He is trying to frame Richard. Richard will be 100% framed for the murder of the two princes. It's never been confirmed either. Often it was thought that it was definitely at Richard's request, but the anime seems to be taking the approach that Lucifer's going to be the one to do it. What does Lucifer also gain by removing the princes? Well, he's clearing the obstacles in front of him. If Lucifer wants to sit on the throne unchallenged, he needs to remove any male heir, essentially. Richard is already on a downward spiral at this point. The princes in the tower is going to be a nail in the coffin. It's going to get darker. It's going to get sad. It's not going to end well, guys. I'm sorry. Unless they slide a hidden ending into this, because they do have room to do that, because technically Richard is disposed of on a battlefield. We could just say the body was never found, ran off with, I don't know, Buckingham or Henry into the forest. Who is going to succeed? Richard, I hear you saying. Well, you already met one of them. You've met Henry Tudor. You've met him. He is of the Red Rose. He marries Elizabeth, aka Beth, the niece of Richard III of the White Rose. As we have said, that the ending of the War of the Roses is when we finally get the unity of both roses coming together. We get the joint rose, and that's when we see Elizabeth, of course, winning. Is a huge win for her. Elizabeth was very key, and her appearing and also being seen by Henry. That is her future husband. Her future husband has just spied her. That is really creepy. Part of the plan to get her into the castle, get Edward go, I miss you, I want you back, because she is still an heir. She's a girl, yeah. We've spoken about women really not having a rule to the throne or anything, but it's all about that marriage game, all about upping your marriage game, trying to get people into proper places. That's essentially how Elizabeth did it. She married into Edward and ended up being into position. She got power through marriage. And that's what we're going to see happening here. Richard at this point isn't playing the game. Richard is so distracted by everything going on. The throne game is already out of Richard's grasp. A very interesting episode indeed. Lots of puzzle pieces starting to fall in place. Dark times are upon us. I just don't know how they're going to end it. I want to know how Henry survived. Hoping that is given to us at some point. With this happening though, with it now being a bit non-canon, it does give me a little hope that maybe at some point Henry is going to be the one to either kill Richard or they're going to leave it open. Maybe on the battlefield they never found the body. They end up living in that cottage together, Henry and Richard forever, but Henry really did reject Richard, so I don't understand if that would be the case. It's tragedy. We're probably going to have them killing each other. That's probably what's going to happen. Thank you guys so much. Just remember, next week's episode comes out on Tuesday. Have a good day, guys. I hope you're having a good weekend. Bye-bye.